Ahoy, hoy, hoy! Welcome to Cooking Clix. As I continue to talk about Hero Clix while living my life and doing everyday chores around the house. We've done dishing up. We've done laundry Clix. We've done. I think that's it. I don't know if I've done anything else. But you know what? I got wrestling coming on in a little bit. I wanted to make myself a little dinner, and I thought, why not talk about some things that I want to talk about? So here we are. First off, happy release day, everybody. Yeah, I'm going to be moving a lot because I'm cooking. Happy release day. I hope all your polls are everything you always wanted them to be, everything you could have dreamed of, etc., etc., etc. It's a very fun set, in my opinion. There's some good stuff. And cheap plug, the case break for Nexus will be next Wednesday night, unless we sell out. There are still some spots remaining. You can go right to the Nexus page, look for the case break, find all that info. Making some hamburger. Go make some white boy burritos. That's really close to my face. I apologize, but you know, I got a nice counter space, but only so much. First up, let's go in reverse order. So, value. It actually came up the other day that, I forget what the discussion was, but basically, everybody says it's almost rote that HeroClix boosters don't retain their value. By the way, I tried sharing this to groups, so it's entirely possible if you're commenting in JSA or Dishing Up that I can't see your comments. Because I don't know if that works. I don't know how that works. I'm a simple Luddite. And somebody else made a comment that I agree with, and I'm going to explore a little bit here. Your WizKids does not set monetary value beyond the price of a booster. WizKids doesn't say commons are only worth 50 cents. Rares are only worth $1. You know, they say a 5-figure booster is now $17 plus tax minus discount. And that's the end of it. Convention exclusives, obviously, they set the price because they sell them. So when we talk about a booster not retaining its value, it's going to be fun when this starts cooking. I don't know what it's going to sound like. Ultimately, we're talking about the community. The community sets the price. The community has decided to undervalue commons, uncommons, and since I started trading, which, 10 years ago now, even rares. Like, rares used to be not high-ticket items, but, $5, a good one would be 10 maybe. And now, rares are almost treated as, like, disposable. Just, who wants a rare? And that's fine. Whatever, But at the end of the day, if you're a person that's concerned that a $17 booster doesn't feel like it's worth $17, that's not necessarily, it's not necessarily on WizKids. That's the community shifting to only chases are worth it, only super rares are worth it, only primes are worth it. And, to paraphrase an old SNL sketch, if it's not a chase, it's crap. So, I myself am going to try and change some things. But I just think it's something to consider. If you don't like the fact that a $17 booster instantly devalues. I mean, here's the reality. They're giving us God packs, right? 4 chases, excuse me, and a super rare prime. That's value, right? Chases, super rare prime, that's all the great stuff. But we're seeing a lot of them. And people are going to start to say, well, those chases aren't worth it because they're too common. So you can't, from a production standpoint, from a company standpoint, you can't win. I know, I warned you guys, let me moving on. What are they to do? What can you do? And I'm doing too many voices. So, it's just something to think about. If you want HeroClix to be worth the investment, on a certain level, you have to be willing to invest in HeroClix. I'm going to explain what I'm doing right now. So I'm carrying, yes. And that's where it does come from, but still, we see some things. Vulture Prime. Here's the example I'll give. Vulture Prime was, to anyone that was reading, WizKids obviously affects market value by how they design set structure and such, but that's kind of a separate issue. And here's why that's correct and also a separate issue. Vulture Prime was broken. Vulture Prime was a very powerful piece. Vulture Prime won everything, is what everybody said, right? So that should make Vulture Prime fetch a pretty penny. When Vulture Prime was already a problem, I was able to buy them on eBay for $15. So he was a common prime. So he was a common prime. He was an uncommon prime. Excuse me. So $15 is high for an uncommon, but at the same time, shouldn't he have been going for more? That was always my position with him anyway. If he's so good, if he's so crazy, shouldn't he be commanding a much higher price? And he never did because, really good or not, the community said he's only an uncommon. Yeah, he's an uncommon prime, but he's only an uncommon. So that's where I say there's only so much the company can do. That's burgers, baby. When it comes to that stuff. So that's where ultimately, I'm going to repeat, because I'm talking. By the way, if you ever make burgers, let me finish my point. This is how I live my life. Excuse me. If you want HeroClix to hold value, you have to be willing to invest in HeroClix. You can't want everything for as cheap as possible and then complain when everything's as cheap as possible. It don't work that way. So, as I say, is if you ever make hamburgers from just ground beef, you season them, if you're not a heathen. You roll them into a ball, and a delightful way to make a nice patty is you take parchment paper, that's what I was ripping up before, and you take a reasonably sized can, you put the can on top of the ball, and you smash it. That's actually something I stole from a pub in New Jersey. And I gotta tell you, it makes a nice, even patty that cooks tremendously well. So I'm not going to make up all these burgers. What I'm actually doing is I'm frying up some ground beef right now that I will be putting into some tortillas. And then I'm making patties for the rest of the week. So there's my little diatribe on value. Then, let's talk about the news of the day. Stealth errata. Because it seems some people do not understand what stealth errata means. So I shared it here, I shared it in some of the groups, I shared it in HeroClix Rules Chat, your number one source for HeroClix Rules. That we got some self-errata for Isotope E. So the reason it is self-errata, the reason why I use that term, and I will defend that term, is if you go to the WizKids, if I didn't tell you what was errata, and you went to the WizKids, you went to the Win, and looked at the modern errata and clarification thread, you would not be able to tell me that Isotope E had been errated recently at all. The change log says that the most recent errata was in October, which we know is not true because they have errata up for War of the Realms, the Fantastic Four, and I've shared Blade. I've shared the Blade stealth errata. So the change log does not tell you that anything has been errated since October, which again we know isn't true. If you actually went and looked at Fantastic Four Future Foundation, Isotope E is all black text. There's no red. There's no, oh hey, we added this wording. And mind you, before this, it was already errated because upon release, it was labeled as equipment, which it's not. It's just a special object. So the piece has already been errated twice, technically. Which is fine. I want to make that clear too. I am in no way complaining about multiple erratas. If multiple erratas are necessary, if things got missed and just need to get fixed, errata it 50 times. I don't care. Whatever gets the job done, whatever makes it right, whatever gets it to where it is usable, I am fully in favor of. But, as Gil pointed out, Bufo errata has been up for over a year. Hell, we just got Thing Robot fixed within the last couple weeks. And that, again, has been an issue for over a year. So, unless you are obsessively reading through every power in that thread, or whoever is updating that thread tells us, whether it be via the changelog, whether it be via a new edition of Red, whether it be an update date on each actual post, we would have no way to know. And I say this because I do obsessively check that thread. Every couple weeks, because I understand what goes on, I just poke my head in. The Batman LE, which, by the way, is not called Batman and Jaro. The card is Batman. I just happened to notice that errata. I just happened to look in on that. It's not noted anywhere. It's just there. Plastic Man. I reached out to people, like anyone can, saying, hey, the Plastic Man Connolly doesn't technically work as written. And then one day, I was looking for something else and happened to see that it had been fixed. Like, my job is not to disseminate WizKids Red. I'm not a WizKids employee. I don't get paid. If they want to pay me, I'm right here. Because obviously I do a better job disseminating the information than the people whose job it is. But you can't expect people to dig through hundreds of posts, or I suppose it's not 100 at this point, but hundreds of effects, and see, oh, hey, have 2 words been added to this power? Have 2 words been added to this object that has been in play for over a year? oh, hey, has this been... I'm not going to answer that one, Gil. Has this been, at least rulings, like, there's no way to hide rulings. There's ways to change rulings after the fact, which I will give them the credit that it does not seem they have done recently, and by recently I'll say the last 6 months. I'll say the year. There's no way to put up a new ruling without somebody noticing, because they put it up as a new threat. That's great. That is how it works. That is how people notice things. But there are people, not just me, I'm just one of the jerks that'll actually say something. There are people in the community that are looking out for people and want everyone to be playing by the same rules. Because here's the thing. Let us say, I didn't say anything. Let us say no one said anything about Isotope. And somebody showed up to a tournament. What can do I want to smash? But somebody showed up to a tournament. We got Gen Con coming up, so we got big tournaments coming back. And they didn't realize Isotope had changed. Or, even better, they didn't realize Thing Robot had changed. And now all of a sudden they've traveled whatever they traveled to go to Gen Con. They've paid whatever they paid to go to Gen Con. Hopefully you can still hear me. I got my earpiece in. And they're facing a team or playing a team that works completely different from what they expected. Is that a positive play experience? Is that something that makes somebody want to travel to big events? Is that something that makes people want to participate in this game? Or does it make you go, man, screw this game. This game's garbage. I'm out of here. Like, that's what... Because some people have defended or pushed back on stealth errata. Well, it seems like it's the normal way to deliver errata. It's normal in that it's what's done. It shouldn't be done. Well, I care, Gil. Even if WizKids doesn't care, I care. So I'm going to say something. But, yeah, it's just, oh yeah, that's a good idea. It just gets sticky. I put some cheese in with the meat. Then it stick to the pan because it's hot. You stick it in the pan. But yeah. So that's why I call it stealth errata, because it shouldn't be. Somebody has to update the win. It's not done automatically. It's a form. Somebody goes in, somebody posts. Somebody edits a post. That person should, through whatever means they're allowed to, make sure other people know. Make sure the community at large notices. And the simplest way to do it is the red. Because maybe they're not supposed to tell people they work for WizKids. Which can be silly, but whatever. Yeah. Updated changelog. Hey. Errata or added errata to Isotope E. It takes probably less time than it does to actually do the update. So then the question really becomes, why aren't people doing it? And why is it when someone, like myself, doesn't have to be me, but like myself, points out this is being handled in a less than optimal way, that rather than saying, hey, you got a point there, maybe we should do better, maybe somebody should do better, instead it's, we shouldn't say that, we should bring that up. No, I should. Absolutely should. Everybody should. I would like that, actually. A red date stamp. So, you know, today's the 1st. June 6.122 in red, right next to Isotopia. Oh, hey, that's when it was updated. I mean, again, I know there are newer players. I know there are even newer people that are judging and doing other things. This is how it used to be done. We used to get a player's guide as a PDF. And, like, when I first started, we'd get a PDF of just changes. These are just the changes being made to powers. And then we get a whole document of, here's the full text of the power with changes in red. So this isn't me asking for anything that's unreasonable or hasn't been done in the past. This is me asking for the bare minimum we had 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I got back into the scene. And it's... Again, I don't know what people are watching in other groups, so maybe more people are looking. Throw in whatever thoughts you have, but I don't want to belabor the point of why it's negative, why it's not good to not inform key players, but it goes into the whole thing too. We all see it, we all hear it, people post it all the time, people say it in person. Well, the rules change all the time. Oh, WizKids always changes everything. This is part of why. People don't even realize things that have changed. So then, if a couple powers have changed on a popular team, and all of a sudden somebody is playing it and it's like, yeah, I'm going to play it the way that it's written, somebody's going to get angry. Well, why is this all changed all of a sudden? Why is this all different all of a sudden? It's not. But WizKids didn't make sure you were informed, so it feels like it is. And so it makes you angry. And I get it. I'm not saying somebody's I'm not saying somebody's wrong to feel upset. I'm just saying... Whew. I like it to bake my tortillas. I'm just saying, you know, it doesn't have to be this way. And again, this isn't pitchforks for anybody. I'm not saying burn the wind to the ground. It's necessary. For a while there, it was better. For a while there, we were getting... Because you can see the changelog. Somebody was updating the changelog when things were fixed and errated. Somebody was using red, like we used to. And, you know, making sure people knew. And I was happy. I was like, all right, awesome. This is what we should have. And then I don't know what changed. You know, that's consistency. I say it because I do a couple podcasts, and I know people that do a couple podcasts. Consistency is key. Doesn't matter if you're not doing much as long as you're doing it consistently. You know? Consistent updates done the same way, but, you know, done slowly, are better than a whole bunch of stuff done haphazardly. Yeah, we're going to have 3 tonight. We're going to have 3 guys. Oh, hey, there we go. Hey, Peter. What we got going on here? Yes, well, okay. So, Mr. Marshfield says, a solution would be to provide errated cards to people that don't use the win, which is, you know, super optimal in my opinion. The issue there becomes printing. This was a good idea, and it's just going sideways on me. The issue there is printing and disseminating them, distributing them. It's a good idea. It just creates more legwork. What I would say is what would be better is provide print and play errated cards so that people can, and it would take somebody at WizKids to do them. Oh, I put away my tortillas. it would take, so it would be somebody's job to fix the cards. But WizKids provided a print and play card that said, hey, this has been the errata, and you can print and play this card. It's one step towards another solution, which is people that pull cards or pull figures without cards. It's a limited situation, but maybe that would work. Or, as Gil correctly points out, maybe you just can't. I am nothing if not bold, sir. I am nothing if not bold. I'll take this opportunity to say, I understand there are reasons we can't have print and play anymore. I do not know all that they are, but I understand that there are reasons. That doesn't mean I'm ever going to stop asking. Because you know what? People sure did seem to like it when we had print and play. There's always complaints. There will always be complaints. There will always be people that aren't happy. There will always be mistakes. But we sure did have more players when there was print and play. We sure did have more people engaged with the game when, we missed cards back then. It's a mass-produced game. You're gonna miss stuff. It's gonna happen. It can't be helped. But when you could say, oh, hey, just go to this website, print it off. Or, someone, look, yeah. Or someone in your community, hey, what do you need? I'll print it off for you. Sure did seem like people were more engaged. What do I know? I'm good. There's not even anything on that. That was good. Thank you for engaging, Peter. I like to see people talking. That's all I really got. Wrestling's coming on here soon. So I'm gonna go watch that here. Oh, I'll wait a little time in case anybody else has anything they want to say. But yeah, that's all I want to say. So, it's... I guess the real theme of this video is properly identify where the issue is. Awesome. It's cooking Clix. I cooked dinner. In that. Properly identify where the issue is. When you complain about Clix not holding value, understand part of that's people wanting things as cheaply as possible, and people overvaluing things. Both has an effect when people say nothing in a set's, worth it. Well, I've watched the statement, opening blind product isn't worth it, go from a personal opinion to a pretty hard fact. And it's not just on WizKids. It's not, things have changed in matters of design and whatnot, but it's not just WizKids. Just saying. So yeah, when someone's, pointing out issues with the win or somewhere else, don't just go after them. Don't just treat them like they're the problem. Because maybe they're trying to help. And when the person is making sure as many people know about errata as possible and directing them back to the win. And these other people aren't. these other people possibly maybe should have known. Seymour. Well, that's where it's tough. And it's also, when you talk about value, you know, we have to recognize figures' intrinsic value. Part of the issue is that people have gone along with WizKid's perspective, which makes sense from WizKid's perspective because they make the game. That if it's not modern, it's crap. If it's not modern, it's not worth anything. So that then with Silver, these things are worth it now. You could always play those elements at local venues. You could always play those elements at different other tournaments. They have value. Their value was decreased because people devalued them because they weren't modern. Because you can't play in an Origins or Gen Con. But think about it. Let's even say Rock, right? Let's say Rock's running big events. So when you talk about big events, you're talking about WizKids and the Rock. Okay. WKOs were what, 4 a year? Origins is once a year. Well, Nationals is once a year. Worlds is once a year. So that's 6 events from WizKids. Don't count Winamaps, because those are monthly OP. Those are basically local venues anyway. So Rock, it's been weird since WizKids, but before that, let's say Rock was running super qualifiers. They were running what? 4 super qualifiers a year? Even states, okay. Let's say they ran states. And let's say every state had it. That's 50 states. Once a year. Twice they tried. Okay. It's less than 100 events a year that most people don't play in. Like, there have to be, I've talked about the numbers before, I'm not going to belabor it, but for the game to still exist, there have to be thousands of players. No modern event, no modern in time sense, not modern format, has had 1,000 players. So, the competitive scene that value is based on is a microcosm of HeroClix. This is not a throwing shade statement. This is readjust how you value things. If you're saying something's only worth something because it's viable in the competitive meta, you're entirely backwards. And I understand. People do it because in Magic's a much healthier game. I mean, I don't know right now, because there was the whole move to online and stuff, and I've never been a Magic player, so I don't have intimate knowledge. But before, Magic was a much healthier game. It had more people. It still has more people than us, I think. So, and it had more avenues. The pro circuit was not just 6 events in a year. I don't know what it was, but it was more. And then, this is again, now I'm pontificating, but whatever. It's my video. You don't have to watch it. People tried to do that in HeroClix, but they tried to do it in reverse. The pro circuit in Magic developed because there were lots of people playing Magic, and they wanted more ways to play Magic. In HeroClix, people tried to create a pro circuit without the necessary people driving it. Like, you need attendance, you need weekly attendance, you need casual players. Because if the more casual players we have, from them will come competitive players that want to travel and play other places. But someone who never plays casually is never going to play competitively. And I'm mixing terms a little bit. But what I mean is someone who doesn't just go to a weekly venue and just play for the sake of playing, or for the sake of, $1 LE, is never going to get the passion for the game to travel to Origins, to travel to Gen Con, to travel to Memphis, to travel to Majestic events on the West Coast. They're never going to get that passion. You can't force it. You can't say, here, look, we have these great competitive events. Don't you want to play? It's just not how it's not how people work. Look at the DCU. Sorry, but the statement I always make to my friend, they didn't earn anything. They tried to... Okay, there we go. Just making sure I don't miss anything. Okay. They tried to show you how important these movies were. Show you how these characters were. Rather than just saying, let's build. We'll make Iron Man, see if it works. Okay, it worked. Let's try... they tied Incredible Hulk in, which, but let's see what works. Let's make these movies. Let's see if people get interested. And then people get behind it, and then you start this over-sprawling, multiversal, 20 or 10-year cinematic event. You can't start out saying, I come from comics. I come from self-publishing. It's what kids do. It's what 18-year-old writers do. I have this epic. I'm going to make this epic novel series. You ever finish a short story? You ever finish a novel? One story? No? Sorry to tell you, bud, epic's not going to happen. You can't start at the top. A grassroots movement works because it starts from the bottom. So it's a long-winded thing, and I know I'm pontificating. But to that point, HeroClix figures will have more value when we have more players, ultimately. And part of having more players is being willing to pay. Be willing. I mean, again, not going to go too into it. I got food. I want to eat. But I see it all the time. I've heard someone say, I won't pay retail. Then why should any store sell to you? It's great. If you have a venue that you are supporting, I talk about it locally. I'll say it. I don't care. I won't say the name, but my venue. When we started, we were selling buku cases. We were selling so many boosters. People would just come in, grab random boosters. We had a couple guys that bought in bulk, that bought bricks, that bought cases, whatever. And my friend that owns a store, we talked about. Back then, if something like X of Swords happened, he'd be happy to break even because he's moving product. Clix is worth having. Now, pandemic, just general state of attrition, he had literally no one asking about Disney Plus. So I am the entirety of the purchase of Disney Plus in our store. Which also means we're not going to run X of Swords. No one's playing. No money's being made. Businesses exist to make money. And when you're talking about game stores, almost 100%, let's say 99.9% of the time, they're mom and pops. Even if it's somebody that has a couple stores, even if it's a person that has 3 stores, they're not megacorps. They're not moving millions of units, so if they make 10 cents per unit, hey, all to the good. Like, they're moving thousands at best. Hundreds, maybe. So they gotta make money. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, they have to... I gotta keep my lights on, they gotta keep their lights on. So it's... We can't get... And it's just something I've seen, I'm not trying to lecture anybody, but we can't get to the point where none of us want to pay for it. We all want to play, but nobody wants to pay. And that's separate from, if you can't afford the game, I feel for you. 100%. No sarcasm intended. Like, it sucks. It sucks to love something, to want to do something, and not be able to afford it. You know? But we got 20 years. Like, I want us to have another 20. But we got to put in. We got to make it worth it. You know? Like I keep saying, I've seen a lot of bad behavior. And I'm not even talking about personality conflicts or cheating or anything like that. I'm talking about not picking up after yourself at a venue. Just letting things drop. Being slobs. Yeah. I mean, again, from a pure retail standpoint, I get what you're saying, Gil. But we used to move enough, and it would just, we wouldn't even put, like, we put some on the shelf, but we wouldn't even put it on the shelf. Like, when you have that loyal fan base that just buys it, so it comes in and they come and get it. I mean, I can remember because I was real hyped for the Captain America set. And I can remember coming in and being like, oh yeah, what did I buy? I think I bought a case. That's how hyped I was. I buy more now. But, you know, and then going in on Wednesday, because that's when Clix releases, same as for new comics, sitting down and opening my boosters, and other people coming in opening their boosters, and, like, it was fun. It was exciting. It was, oh, cool, look what you got. Oh, cool. Oh, man. You know? And I never pulled out of my case, I think. I didn't pull a Hellfire. The guy with the chain, that was a secret warrior. You know, I opened a bunch of product that didn't pull that rare. I ended up getting them, but so that's my point. Is there's always been problems. There's always been issues. There's going to be, but I don't know. Yes, absolutely, and it's part of it's the attitude. When we got started, it was 2010. We bought out a store. We had Secret Invasion. We had Avengers boosters. We had old boosters. But we had new players that were excited for product. And we ran events that allowed them to use whatever product they purchased. So when they came in, they bought Secret Invasion. They bought the Fantastic Four starter that we were able to order from Alliance. They bought Avengers boosters because they were happy to have a place to play. They were happy to have product. So it's also, that's where it all comes back to the venue. It all comes back to the local level. As cheesy as it may sound, you know, act locally, think globally. It all comes back to that local venue. If that local venue's only 300 modern, then acts 110%. Anything that's not a modern booster is dead. If that venue plays Golden and has somebody that understands Golden mechanics and can make them work, then you can have older boosters as long as you're bringing in newer players. And that's everybody's issue, but that's what it comes down to. We need new blood. We need to be open to new blood. And that's where everything comes full circle. That's why you can't have stealth errata. That's why you have to make sure, WizKids needs to make sure to be informing people of things that are changing. I can do it. I don't get paid. I can do it. Their job is to do it. Their job is to release errata and make sure people know. Release rulings and make sure people know. So do it. And the more seriously they take the game, the more seriously players will take the game. And they'll get into the game. And then everyone wins. Not literally, but, you know, figuratively. Alright, guys. It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. Dynamite. So I'm going to go watch wrestling. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for participating. 20th Anniversary Tilt, August 13th. Put up information today for prizing. Deadline to buy tickets, to buy entry, is July 30th. If you just want to come and play Battle Royals, reach out. Message this page. We'll figure it out. We'll get you there. Case break. Happening next Wednesday, 1 week from today, one way or the other. I'd like to sell out. There's spaces available. Go check it out. $10 and up patrons for Nexus get free shipping. If I don't sell out, we're still doing it. So, cool. Take care. Stay cool. Have fun. Do good.